So let's come down to the module number 2, data handling and the functions. So I told that main is a function, so we'll discuss functions in our module number 2. So what will be the objectives for this module? So to understand what is meant by the term multi-dimensional and single-dimensional arrays, and thereafter we'll come up and see what are functions. We'll also see how the functions can be used by value and by reference. We'll see what is overloading, and finally the data type and the string buffer. So let us see what is meant by the term arrays now. So meet John again. John is a grown-up programmer. He managed to learn Java. So let's see how he is utilizing it. So he is working with the company now. John and Daisy, so they are working on some projects. Boss says that I got some great interesting project for you and I want both of you to work on it. So this project is all about having the details in some document, and these guys needs to come up with some solution. So this is kind of the document now. So during the voting procedure, so we got various regions and we got the vote count for the party. So we need to solve this problem where we need to tell who's gonna win the elections. So the data is very huge now. So this is not just only 5 number of regions. We got n number of regions, but this is just a snippet. So John needs to find out the winning party. You need to add these numbers. So 126 plus 32 plus 230 plus 21 plus 200, and you will get one figure over here. So you can just come up and you can tell that which region is going to win. It's very easy. You need to add this column and this column to get the actual number of votes. If you want to come up with the programs, how we can plan to come up with this problem statement. So we will be able to work easily on such problems using arrays. What exactly is the term arrays? So John came up with the solution and he generated this solution using the arrays. So arrays are indexed approach concept. So what we have done over here, so we have created these two rows over here. Row 1 is 0, row 2 is known as 1. So these columns are referred to as 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So Democratic Party, you're mentioning this row. Republican Party, you're mentioning this row. So we will be just summing up these two rows to get the total number of count now. So Democratic Party wins somehow. This is how we'll come up with a solution. So boss is impressed that he got the solution done with the arrays part and he wants to come up with a promotion for the John. So we'll understand what is the term array. So it's an important data structure which holds the data. So before I come up with the array, let us come down and see the concept now. So you say int I assign 10. So I say I is a container. So programmatically we say that this guy is identified. Then I say int is a data type. So int defines the type of data which container I will hold. So technically we say that this guy int is a data type. Then you say 10 is the real data or value. So we call this guy as literal. Now what is the problem in this instruction? So this instruction says that I can only store single value. This is the fundamental where we are understanding the concept of single value container. It means I cannot contain more than one value. So let us see this problem statement over here. So I'm gonna come down to src, gonna do a right click and a new class. I'm gonna make it like arrays demo with the main method. So now you say int I assign 10. So you must understand I is a single value container. So container means it's gonna hold some data now. You can't try to say let us put some more values in this. What you're trying to do over here, so this is an error now. So you can't come up and write multiple values in this guy. So I at any time can hold a single value. So that is really important to understand. So what in case you want multiple values for I? This is not a statement that I is 10 and then I is 20 and then I is 30. So you can't say that I is containing multiple values. So below we can't say I is containing multiple values. So what is it? At an instant, I is always holding a single value. So it can be any type of variable. So these all variables will hold single values. So if you come up with a Boolean flag assigned true, so these all are the examples of single value containers. They cannot contain more than one value. What if you want to come up with some logic which can contain more than one value? To do that part, you need arrays. Arrays says that I am a multi-value container. It can hold multiple values but of same type. That's one limitation also. So your arrays, they are the multi-value containers. They can hold multiple values but of same type. So what is meant by this? So you say an integer and you say the name and a bracket, and then you declare multiple values for this guy. So your arrays, they are the kind of data structures which will hold multiple values all together. So I cannot hold multiple values, but this guy ARR along with the bracket can hold these many multiple values. So choice is yours, how many multiple values you want to come up with. So we said that in case you want a multi-value container, come up and you write an instruction. You can also write the similar instruction in this way by saying a new int of 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. I have written one second syntax. So you can either use the first syntax or the second syntax. Choice is yours. So the first syntax over here, if you can see this guy, the first syntax is known as implicit and the second one is explicit. So all in all, even if you write such a syntax, compiler's gonna translate this syntax into this syntax. Now let us see what happens when you print out the guy ARR. So when I'm going to come down and I'm gonna print out this I is plus I, and when I'm saying ARR is plus ARR. So let us run the code and see the output now. So what we see over here is that when you print the I, it is giving us the value 30, what I is containing within it. But when you print out this guy ARR, it is not giving you the elements within this guy. It is giving us some address over here. What exactly is this concept now? So arrays, they don't store the data in a way the single value containers do. So they store the data in an indexed approach. So the data which is available in the array, so it's a part of indexes. So the first element will be 0th index and the last element will be n minus 1. So let us see this array in memory more or less. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to draw one illustration. We got the whole memory structure as RAM, and RAM contains these two data structures known as stack and heap now. So this outer boundary represents the RAM allocated to our program when you are going to execute it. So within the RAM you got this guy as stack and this guy as heap. So there are two data structures, stack and heap now. So the variable ARR and I. So I is created in the stack. ARR is also created in the stack. Right? So we got these two variables created in the stack. So what is there in the I? I contains the value 30, whereas ARR contains some address value. For example, 78, some 55 or 8. So this is like some hexadecimal address. ARR is not containing value. It is containing some address value. This array is created within the heap like this, if you can see over here. So it can either be represented as a horizontal direction or a vertical direction. Makes no much difference. So this guy is having the address in the heap as 78E some 558. This is a multi-value container with no name. So the very first guy is the 0th index, then you got the first index, then the second index, third index, and the fourth index. So all these indexes, they have this value 10, then 20, 30, then 40, and finally we got 50. So guys, what is this now? So 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 are the single values contained within this bigger container. Array is created within the heap part, and the address of the array is stored within the variable over here, which is created in the stack. It means this guy is somehow pointing out on this array. So we say the storage fundamental of arrays will be available within the heap data structure. So this guy is a multi-value container which is containing multiple values. The way I was containing single value, this guy is containing multiple values. But the arrays are not created in the stack somehow. So they will be created in the heap. ARR is reference variable. So what ARR contains? ARR contains some address value of the array which is created in the heap. When you print out this guy ARR over here, if you can see now, ARR is giving you some address value. It says we got one integer array at memory location 7852E922. This is what ARR is printing out for you. The way I is getting us a value, ARR is giving us the address value. So ARR is created in the stack, but this guy array is constructed in the heap. So this guy is a multi-value container which contains the values on indexed approach. So if you come down and if you see, so we got these guys 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So if you want to access the values, you say ARR of 0. I'm going to print ARR of 0. Then I can print ARR of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here you can see the values coming out now. What you can do, you can just skip down this. You can come up with a for loop and you say I less than ARR dot length. ARR dot length will give you the length of the array. So we already have a variable I, so we already declared this guy I, so I'm just saying for I equal to 0, not int I. Since I is already declared above, so you say ARR of I. So you can read your array using the for loop. So I will begin from 0. It's gonna go till the length of the array. So what is the length of the array? The length of the array is 5. So it's gonna run from 0 to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You run the code and you see the output now. You can also come down and you can say we got one ARR 1, assign new int of 5. Previously we created an array. Now also you are creating an array. But here what is happening, in case of ARR 1, if I try to run the same loop on ARR 1, you will find that all the elements of ARR 1, they are 0. So if you write such a syntax, you are also giving the values for the different indexes. But here you are not giving any value. So there are two different ways to write an array now. So you can come down and you can say ARR 1 of 2 is 25. So you need to come later and write the data on that index. So when you run the code now, you find that rest all elements are 0, but this guy's second index is 25. So there are two different ways to write an array. Either you write an array by declaring it with the values. So here you need not to mention the size now. If you mention the size, it's an error, because size will be taken automatically by the number of values you are putting into the array. So here you mention the size and you manage with your values later. We can write as many as arrays you want. So you can say A, B, and C. So A, B, and C, they are the reference variables. So please must understand what are they? They are the reference variables. So if you come down with a syntax having a bracket before, then you can say D, E, F. So these are also reference variables. So guys, what is the concept now? So B assign new int of 5 or E assign new int of 5. So you can come down and you can understand the difference in the syntax. So all these three variables, they can point to some array. But here you need to come up and write the bracket after the variable name each and every time. So these are the two different syntaxes now. So without mentioning the size, you need to come up with such a concept answer. So in case you need to skip the size, so that is not feasible or possible. So if you say that I'm going to come up with some new array, right, without mentioning the size, it's an error. Size is one mandatory thing which you need to give to your array. If you don't want to give the size, give the array values. Arrays are always created in the heap. They will have a fixed size for sure. So there are two things now. So arrays will be constructed in the heap. So why in the heap now? So there is a guy known as new operator which says that I will create the array at runtime. So at runtime means when your program will be executed, at that time this array will be constructed in the memory. So new operator has this role to create the array at runtime. That's why the memory associated is the heap, not the stack. Stack is the compile time memory more or less. So other than that, arrays have a fixed size. You need to give a fixed size. It cannot be altered somehow. So once the size is given, it won't be altered after that. So what can be done to read the arrays? So in Java, we got one concept known as enhanced for loop to read the arrays. So you say for int some element in ARR. So what I'm doing, so I'll just say CISO on element. So what is happening over here? You declare the variable with any name, colon the array in which you want to iterate or which you want to read. So automatically the 0th index will be copied into this variable and you are displaying that variable. Then the first index will be copied, then the second, then the third, then the fourth. So you need not to manage the loop by putting up some initial condition, last condition, and the way to reach from initial condition to the last condition. So this is all not required. So your loop has become more sophisticated, but this loop is known as enhanced for loop and it is used to read the collection. You can't come up without having an array over here now. So it works with the arrays as of now. How this enhanced for loop is going to come up, the output's not going to change. So it's going to be the same now. So with this, I can read any array now. So I can just say, let's read B. So if you can see the B array, so it's going to read me the B array. So let's read the E array. For example, E of 2 is 100. So I'm just going to read the E array. So now let's come back and see the presentation now. So you can put the bracket before or you can put the bracket after. So it depends upon your choice, but bracket before and bracket after makes a sense when you are writing more than one arrays. So arrays, they will have a fixed size and they starts from 0, they ends in n minus 1. So n is the size of the array. For example, 5 is the size, so index will end up at 4, giving us the 5 values now. So multi-value container array. One more thing which you must understand is the length of the array can be obtained with a property known as arr.length. So if the name of the array is arr, dot length will give you the length of the array. So let us understand, you can write down an array in various ways. So this is also one way of writing an array. So you give the values to the array at this instant of time only, either with the implicit syntax or with the explicit syntax. So arrays can be declared for primitive as well as non-primitive data types. They can hold a single value, they cannot hold more than one value. So the people who can hold a single value, we call them the primitives more or less. So these multi-value containers, they are non-primitive people, they hold more than single value. Now, why we need arrays? So instead of writing so many different variables, you can come up with an array. Other than that, it's very fast, it's very easy to access through indexes. You can put up a loop and you can write multiple algorithms all together. So this is one more example. Here the character array has been created. So array can be of any type if you want now. Let's say that I am going to write this guy array over here, e array, but what I do, I try to say CISO of e of, let us say, 100. Now the element 100 is not there in the array. The maximum size of the array is 5. It means the last index of the e array is 4, even though you are trying to read the 100 index. So such an error is not given by the compiler. Compiler will not prompt you for this mistake. Why? Because array is constructed at runtime. So when you will run the code, you will get this error at runtime that the array index is out of bounds. So such a problem is known as exception in Java. So we'll understand the term of exceptions in our future, not now. If you come up and try to access the array out of the index, so it's gonna give you one exception. So arrays can further be classified into many types. One is the single dimensional array. So where we got data in one dimension, that's like a of 0, a of 1 till a of length n-1. We can also have something known as multi-dimensional arrays. So what is a multi-dimensional array? There might be a situation that you would like to create array of arrays. So when you want to have an array of arrays, you come up with something known as multi-dimension arrays. Let us see what are multi-dimension arrays now. So you put two brackets now. So I'm gonna say this guy is some AR2. Then you come up with this syntax. So now this array I'm gonna come up with some arrays. So I'm gonna say 10, 20. So this is the first array. Let's say 30. Let's say 50, 70, 40, 90, 80. And then I'm gonna say 10, 20, 1, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 7. Then I'm gonna say only number 1. What I have done, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 arrays all together in a single array. So let us say this guy is AR3. So if you write an array like this above here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this guy AR2 is one array, but ARR3 is an array of arrays. Now my next question is, if I do a CISO, ARR length is plus ARR dot length, and then I say ARR2 length and ARR3 length, ARR2 dot length and ARR3 dot length, and if I try to print ARR2 and ARR3, what is the output over here? So you need to write the answer in a single line, right? So don't write the multiple lines. So just try to give me what is the output. So what we see is that both the arrays, they give me the length of 5, if you can see. So ARR2 I think is very much clear. So ARR3 is what? Size of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? ARR3 has the size of 5 because it contains 5 arrays. ARR3 is not an array, it is an array of arrays. Both the arrays, if you are printing, they are giving you the address. Difference is that this guy says that this is an array of arrays. So how this data is stored in the memory now? So let us see that part. So in the heap, we got one array. So let us see this part with the 5 indexes. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we got these 5 indexes sum up, and these are like your 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here you got this guy known as ARR3, which is an array of arrays now. Let us assume the address of this array is 4001, considering that this guy is 4001, but it will be hexadecimal address. ARR3 is pointing out to this array, so this 4001 array, whereas we got 5 more arrays in the heap now. So array 1 containing 2 elements, then some other array, some more array, So we got these 5 arrays within the heap now. So these 5 arrays represents 10, 20, 10, 20, 30, 50, 70, 40, 90, 80, 10, 20, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 7 and 1. So we got these further arrays created in the memory. So what is happening now? So the 0th index contains the address of the first array. Then this contains the address of this array. It means the indexes of ARR3, they are containing the addresses to the further arrays. So it's like this over here now, if you can see. So it means that if I come down and if I iterate into, if I say for int some number p assigned 0, p less than ARR3 dot length and p plus plus. Let's say we got one loop which iterates from 0 to the length of ARR3. So it means that this loop's gonna run for 5 times. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a CISO of ARR3 of P. So you will note that, let me just put one delimiter over here. We are getting the 5 different addresses for 5 arrays which are one dimensional in nature. All these are nothing but they are the arrays contained within an array. So it means that 0th index is an array, first index is an array, then second index is an array, third index is also an array, fourth index is also an array. So what if I want to come up and access the 0th array? So I'll say ARR3 of 0. So ARR3 of 0 means what? This guy. So 0th array's 0th element means 10. Similarly, if I say ARR3 third array over here and its third element. So third array's third element is this guy 4. You run the code and you can see the output 10 and 4 over here. So if I want to read all these elements, what I can do, I can come down and I can use a nested loop. For example, I'm going to say for int k assign 0, k less than ARR3 dot length and k plus plus. This is one loop which will iterate for 5 times. Within this loop, I'm going to come up with for int L equal to 0, L less than ARR3 of k dot length and L plus plus. So it means internal loop over here will run n number of times where n is the size of array of arrays. ARR3 of 0 dot length, it means 2. ARR3 of 1 dot length, which means 3. ARR3 of 2 dot length, which means the value 5, so on and so forth. Internally, I'll just say sys out, not with the print. I say ARR3 of k and L. So along with it, I'm just gonna print out an empty space, and once you are done with it, so you say just a regular new line. Now you run the code, you find your all elements coming into the output. Put a delimiter again over here. So you run the code and you find all the elements of your array, they are printed out for you. So 2D arrays, they are stored as in array of arrays, not as in matrices somehow. So moving ahead now, you can create any dimensions to the array now. Let us come down and let us say this guy is ARR4. So this guy ARR4 is basically what now? This is array of arrays. So we got more dimension to the array now. So in this way, you can come down and you can write any dimensional array known as n dimensional array, which is collection of n minus 1D arrays. So here you're gonna access this array with 3 loops now. So the length of AR4 is 2 now. So it contains only 2 arrays. So these arrays further contains the arrays now. So we can come down and we can write down a multi-dimensional array. So now if you want, you can also write a multi-dimensional array by mentioning the size over here. So what we have done, we have specified the elements directly. So what you can do, you can come down and you can just say int ARR of 4 assign new int with the size as 5 and 5. So you can also come down and you can do this. So this array contains no elements. Here we can't see any elements. So you can come down and you can declare in that context also. So this is one program on single dimensional array, and this is how you can declare your multi-dimensional arrays. You can use it. So multi-dimensional arrays you can use to perform some matrix operations. This is one question on your arrays. So if there is an array with integer of 5 and 5, so it means there are total 25 elements in the array. So if one integer takes 4 bytes, so 25 into 4, you get the output as 100 bytes of memory. So when you create an array will take a space in the memory. So how you can calculate the space? You calculate the number of variables, the size of the array, multiply it with the size of one variable which it's gonna take. So can we do multi-dimensional array operations in a single dimensional array? If yes, then why do we need multiple dimensional arrays? We can perform all the operations of ND arrays in 1D array, but when you have more than one dimension to data, you need to come up with array of arrays. For example, we need to calculate the population of India. So how are you going to come up with? You need to first of all write an array of states, then the state will further contain an array of cities. Cities can further contain more arrays of some areas. Then you can come up with the reality of arrays of people now to come up with a count. So there are many requirements when you have more than one dimension to the data. Now I'm going to come to the something known as functions. So John meets Daisy and Daisy seeks some help now. So hi John, I'm having a trouble getting the output for a program, and Jack told me I should be using the functions. So what exactly is this term function and how we can come up to that point? Daisy seeks help from John. Yeah, sure. So do you see the coffee machine on the table? So we'll take up the example of coffee vending machine. So when you press the button to get the coffee, what happened? Now I am the user, so I'm gonna touch the button to get the coffee. So there will be some operation which will be performed in the background. There will be many instructions which machine will execute sequentially. For example, if I need to drink coffee, so the milk should come in if I want it, then the coffee should come in. There should be mixing of milk, coffee and the water in case I want that kind of a combination, and thereafter I'll be getting the coffee in the cup. So in the background there are various processes which are happening now. This is also true that every time I want to drink the coffee, the same processes they are supposed to be executed. Instead, we come up and we write all these operations again and again. You create one method or procedure. So what is a method or a procedure? If you just come up with a definition of the word method, it means there are some predefined sequential steps which have been mentioned. So everything has a method to do now. Method is nothing. It is one sequential statements block which will be executed whenever you want it. So method or function or procedure. So functions, they work in a similar way. It's going to help to save our time, and when you are going to write the Java program, so it's going to be of much use because you can use them again and again. You can execute them again and again now. So let's see what exactly is the function. So function or a method or a procedure is a group of statements to be executed. This is what we got, group of statements which we want to be executed repeatedly, so we make it a method. So function has a task to perform. Function should be meaningful. There should be a particular task which it can perform now. So function is declared as, the very first thing is scope modifier. So this is like keyword public, I mean scope specifier. Then the keyword modifier is like your static, if you can see. Then you got the return type, which can be any data type plus void over here. Then you got the name of the function and any input to the function. So this is one example signature of the function. So there are various functions which are already available also. within the Java. Absolute, square and square root. So these are what the guys which have the parentheses in the end. So they are recognized as methods or functions. So these functions, they do some specific task now. So square of a number will not give you the square root of a number. They should be meaningful. They should be performing some specific tasks for you. So how the function will look like? The function will come up as, the first thing is the scope, then the modifier, then the return type, then the method name, then you got this signature over here. So here you get the input list. Now let us see what this scope, modifier, return type, method name, input list can be. So what can be the scope? Scope can be which defines the visibility. Visibility means private, default, protected and public. What are these four guys? We don't care as of now. So we are just into it that this can be the scope for a method. Then you got this guy known as modifiers. So these can be like static, abstract, final, synchronized, etc. These goes like the modifiers. Again, all of them will be studying in our upcoming time. So what can be this return type now? So return type is an acknowledgement. Now consider this, that we are standing at a coffee vending machine and we are pressing the button to get the coffee. So you will be getting the output in a cup, but at the same time, when the machine has dispensed the cup of coffee, it will display a message that beverage has been dispensed or any other relevant information. So acknowledgement should be a good practice for any method which it can share with the person who's gonna execute it. So it's an acknowledgement. It can be any data type. It can be of type integer, float, character or an array. This can be of any type. If you don't want to give acknowledgement, use void. Void means no acknowledgement. So your return type is an acknowledgement which can be any data type. It can be even a multi-value container which you want to return. But if you don't want to acknowledgement, you just say void. What can be the next guy as method name? Method name can be any name of your choice, but there are some rules now. No spaces, no special characters, can't start with special symbols or numbers. You can't start it with special symbols or numbers. Numbers can come later. Special symbols not allowed. So that's like some rules to write the name of a method or a variable or any name which you want to give. These are the specific rules. They are the same rules which we use for our email ID. So special symbols are not allowed. Numbers can come later, and for the space you can use underscore. So these are some rules now. Lastly, we got the input list. So input can be any number of containers, either single value or multi-value. So your method can take some input. It can take any number of containers. It means that you can pass one input, two input, three input, or you can pass n number of inputs. So let us see one example to this guy. So this example goes like, you say void add numbers and then you say int a comma int b. So what is this guy now? So void is the acknowledgement. So we are saying that the function will not acknowledge. Add numbers is the name of the method. We didn't use the scope and the modifier thing. So input is like two inputs a and b which are of type integer. Then what I can do? I can just say C assign a plus b, and then I can say system dot out dot println, and I can say C is plus C. So in this case, whenever you feel like, you can call this guy add numbers n number of times. So you can say add numbers 10, 20, then you can say add the numbers 30 and 40. So now you can see these single instructions, they're gonna execute this entire definition or the body part of this method. So this is known as the definition of the method, and this is known as execution or calling or invocation. So definition or body. Your scope specifier and modifiers, they are optionals now. So they're gonna come up and they're gonna do something with the method. Scope specifier will change the visibility, whereas modifier is gonna change the meaning for the method now. Return type is your acknowledgement. It can be any primitive type or objects. When I say objects, it means arrays also. So function name is given as an identifier. You need to use the same function name to execute it. Arguments is the list of input which can vary depending upon our requirement. And let us come to the Eclipse and say a new Java project, session 3. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write one class and I'm going to say this class name is method demo with the main method. So now within this method demo class, I can write one function. I can say void fun, or let us say void add numbers, and then you can pass int a, int b, and then I can say CISO of sum is plus the value c. That is what we have done. Your c goes like a plus b over here. Now a method which is defined in this manner cannot be defined within the main method. If you can see now, even though let's change the name now, you say add numbers 1. So what we are doing, we are defining the method within a method now. If you define a method within a method, so this is also a method now, if you can see, you need to just come up and you just need to see that this is what the signature is. So these parentheses, so they makes a method now. Now nesting of methods is not allowed. It means writing a method within a method is not allowed. So you can execute this method within a method, but you will see that I am unable to execute this method over here. If you can see, it's an error now. So what is the solution now? A method can either be non-static or you can come up with a method known as static. For example, you say square of number and you pass a single number, and then you say C assign number multiplied by number, then you say square is plus c. You can write two types of methods within this class. So the first method is known as non-static. Second method is known as static. We are trying to understand that you can write two types of methods now. One is non-static, other one is static. So whosoever is non-static, you can't call from main. So non-static methods cannot be directly executed from main. Why they cannot be directly executed from the main will come up in future now. But we are just trying to understand the grammar as of now. So square of a number can be executed from the main. See, we are able to execute this. So you can say static methods can be executed from the main. So now when I'm going to run this code, you will find that it says square is 25, or I can say square of number is c. You see that it says now square of 5 is 25. So you can execute this method n number of times now. You can say 7, then you can say 11. You see now, so it's going to give you the output. So it means that a method is that kind of a block or a body which is getting executed again and again. So now what in case of the people who are non-static? So how you will access non-static people now? To access non-static, we need object. In order to access the non-static methods, we need object. What is an object? We don't care. So we are as of now understanding the term method, how they are executed in different contexts now. So if it is a non-static, how are we going to access it? If it is static, how we are able to access it? To access non-static, we need object. So how to create an object? To create an object, you say the class name method demo mdref assign new method demo. So this is very much similar to what we have studied like this. So this object construction instruction. So we say that this is your object construction instruction. So this guy mdref is not an object. So object will be constructed by this guy new in the memory. What happens? New creates the object in the memory and mdref contains the address of the object. So if you try to come down and print out your mdref plus the mdref, in a similar way, if you try to print out your arr, you will find that mdref is also giving you some address of an object of method demo, the way array is giving an address for some integer array. If you can see the output over here, you will find that this instruction over here is making this guy mdref as a reference variable. mdref is not an object over here. So this guy mdref is a reference variable. So you need to create the object for this guy method demo within the main method. Using the object mdref, you should be able to access your non-static methods. So you say mdref dot add the numbers 10, 20. So non-static methods are executed by the references of objects. So now you can see when I say mdref dot add numbers, so it's gonna give me sum is 30. So in a similar way, now you can come down and you can execute this guy n number of times. You can say 30 and 40. You can come down and you can say 50 and 60. So you will be able to get the addition and the square n number of times you are executing the program. So method, how it can be executed if it is non-static or if it is static. So the procedures we are discussing now. So there can be a method, so where you can say int calculate, let us say area, and what you are doing, so you're gonna pass the length and the width. So let us say you're gonna pass the length and the width. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say int area assign L by W, and then you say return of A. Now this is some different kind of a method. So the first thing is, it is a non-static method. It means objects can access it. So it means that reference to object can access it. So what is the reference to an object? Object will be created in the memory by the new operator, and the address of that object will be contained in mdref. So this guy mdref is a reference variable. So it's a reference to the object. What is an object? We don't know about that. So this guy is capable of executing this calculate area method. You will come down, if you try to say calculate area and you pass some number like 10 by 5, so it's an error now, if you can see. So how you can access it? You can access it through the reference to an object. So now you see that if you try to access it without the reference, it's an error. With the reference, it is possible. But when I do calculate of area, we are supplying 10 and 5 as an input, which goes into L and W. So L multiplied by W will be A, and this guy A will be returned back. So this execution statement, we can come up and we can get the value which is returned in A in area. And then I can say CISO area is plus the area. When you run the code, you see that you get the output as area is 50. It means any times now if I want to execute my method calculate area, I must have some guy, the same integer guy. You are returning integer, so you must get the value in integer. So you must have some guy to store some value. So you can say area is plus the area. So run the code again. Now you can see that area has gone to 600. Methods over here, if you can come back and you can understand, so they are either static or non-static. they can either return something or they cannot return something. If they return something, we know now how we can come up with the output. So return statement should be the last statement. So let us say you come down and you say int of I as 100. So you can see that this guy is an error now. Why it is an error? Because the moment where you want to return, nothing below the return statement will be executed. So this is error. Nothing below return is executed. So it should be the last statement. What will happen when you will invoke a function? Whenever the function is called, you're calling it from the main method. So the execution begins as in the part of stack. So what is stack? Stack is a concept, a data structure. So it's like last in, first out. Whatsoever you are going to insert last, that's gonna come out first. So it's like a stack of plates now. We have seen that we keep on putting the plates, and that's known as a stack of plates. So whatever the plate we have kept in the last, that's gonna come out first. The functions or the execution behavior, that will be taken care in the form of stack. So control jump will come into the action now. So let us see what happens when we come up with this kind of a program now. So let us say you got a class 2 and having a method as fun with the variable x as 10. So what we are doing, we are creating the object of this guy. Because this guy is a non-static method, so you are creating this reference and you are calling the function fun. So what happens now? So the initial step was when you are there in the stack, the main method started its execution. So you created the object. So object reference, this guy is known as reference variable, will come in the stack and the object will be created in the heap. So this is how we are understanding the flow of a method in the memory now. So this is the step number 1 when you have created the object. So reference variable gets created in the stack, whereas the object gets created in the heap. So next is when you call the function fun, it means control transfer will happen. So what is meant by control transfer? Control transfer means from the main method, now we need to jump to the function fun. So this guy main will be pushed onto the stack. So thereafter we're gonna execute the method fun. So come up with the variable declared as 10, that's gonna store in the stack somehow again. And once the method is finished, control will now come back to the main. So main will be executed. Finally the main is going to get finished. So your complete concept will be finished. So these are some more programs. So let us try to understand one more program. What's going to happen? Step number 1 is your main method is going to get executed. So we say stack contains control transfer. So let's say stack. So what is happening over here? So we are executing the main method now. The main method contains various function calls. So let us consider that there is one class A and there is one class B, and we got the main method over here. You say public static void main, and so this guy contains string arguments. Now there are some methods void fun1 and let us say void fun2. B also contains a method now void fun3. So within the main method, I'm gonna create the object of A. Thereafter, I'm gonna create the object of B. So since I am doing these two tasks, what stack will contain? Stack will contain A and B. So what are they? They are the references to the objects which are created in the memory now. Then you said A dot fun1. So what will happen now? So our control will be jumped from the main to the fun1. So what we will do, we will come up and we will say that main is pushed into the stack now. Why main is pushed into the stack? Because you are going to execute fun1. So now when the fun1 will be executed and it will be destroyed, the control will come back to the main. And thereafter you say A dot fun2. So again the main will be pushed into the stack and the control will be transferred to the fun2. So when the control has to come back, it will come back to the main again. Similarly, when you're gonna come back to the fun3, so from here within the main, control will jump to the fun3. So the corresponding control transfers, they are being taken care by the stack operations in the memory. So this is how you're gonna come up and gonna understand the fundamental of control transfer. So this guy fun1 control transferred to this guy. So if there are some execution instructions now, for example int a and int b, let's say some x and y. So after the main, x and y will be pushed into the stack. So the moment function fun is finished, so these two guys will be removed and again come back to the main method. So now I'm going to demonstrate a program where we can read from console. We can come down and we can say, let us take the input from the user. So this goes like scanner demo with the main method. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna write one basic function which is like add of numbers. So you're gonna pass two numbers, int a and int of b. So you're gonna say the result will be addition of these two numbers, and you say so sum of a and b is plus c. So that's what I'm gonna come down and print. So how this guy will be accessed? This is a non-static method. To access a non-static method, you need to create an object. So create object to access non-static method. So how you will create the object? You will say scanner demo sd reference assign new of scanner demo. So this is how you create an object. So here we say sd ref is a reference variable which holds the address of object. So if you want, you can just print out this guy sdref as well. So when I print the sdref, it will not show me anything. It will give me an address value. If you can see, this is the address value. Now I can just say sdref dot add of numbers 10, 20. What we want, we don't want this 10 and 20 to be passed in our method now. So we want to come down and we want to create two numbers, x as 10 and y as 20. So I would like to say pass x over here and y over here. So when I'm passing x and y over here, so value of x is 10, which is copied in A, and value of y is copied in B. You run the code and you get the output of sum of 10 and 20 is 30. What I want, I don't want to fix this value. I want the user to give this value now. So let's see how we can read the values from the user. We can read the input from the user in our program. To do that, we need scanner class. You will write SCA control spacebar. You find this guy known as scanner from java.util, if you can see. I'll just double click this guy. So this guy is imported in our program. So scanner is one predefined API which I'm going to import in my program. So you say scanner assign new scanner. So we understand. So when you say scanner assign new scanner, so scanner is a reference variable and you are creating the object of scanner. Within this scanner call, you pass system.in. So these are the syntactical approaches which we are discussing. So now I will say the user CISO enter first number. So what I'll do, I'll say x assign scanner dot next int. So next int will read the number for me. So enter second number. You say y assign scanner dot next int. If you want to read a long number, you say next long. If you want to read a float number, you say next float. So same, so on and so forth for every data type now. So what I will do, I will just say sdref dot add the numbers x and y again. Let's run the code and see what happens now. Initially the code came in over here, then here, then it added the two numbers 10 and 20. Now it is asking me the first number. So console is waiting now. So I'll enter my first number as 15. Then it says enter your second number, so which I'm gonna input as 20, and then when I'll hit it, it says sum of 15 and 20 is 35. This is how you read the values in your program through the scanner API. So scanner as an API or a predefined class will help us to read from the console. So console based input will be taken care through this instruction. So let us slide down the presentation now. We got the functions. You can come up and you can invoke your methods. So whenever you write such a program now, where we got this square. So when you call this method, what's going to happen? First of all, whatever you are writing this number, it's going to push into the stack. Thereafter, your control will be transferred to this guy's square of a number. So your main reference will be pushed into the stack because control transfer happens now. So after the control transfer happens, this guy X and Y will be created in the stack. Whatever you are doing in the method, so they will be pushed in the stack. Once your method is finished, control will be returned back in the main, and now this guy result will be created in the stack. So the moment your main method will finish, so all this stack will be clear. So calling a function is very easy now. So when you are calling a function, you are passing the parameters in case you are giving some parameters. So these parameters can either be primitives or they can be references. So we can also have something known as a reference to the object which you can pass in a method. So let us see one example over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say void pass value, and pass value means this guy contains one input as m. So I'm gonna say CISO m is plus m. So I'm gonna say void pass reference. So pass reference can be now two things. Number one, I'm just passing this guy scanner demo SD ref 1. Then I'll say CISO of SD ref 1 is plus SD ref 1. Then I'm gonna say pass a reference again. So here what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna pass one reference to the integer array. So this guy goes like ARR. So I'll say ARR1. Let us say ARR1 is plus ARR1. So I created these three non-static methods. What these methods are? All these methods are non-static. So how this guy pass value will be called? With the object's reference. So I'm just gonna come down and let us say call pass value. So for pass value, I'm just gonna comment out this code somehow. So just from here, I'm going to comment till here. So this is not required, already discussed. So let us call pass value method. So I'll say sdref dot pass the value, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create one number n which is 10, right? So you pass guy n. So what is happening over here now? Whatsoever the data is there in n, it is going to get copied into m. So the output which you see is that m is 10. So if you say CISO of n is plus n, so you get to see that n is 10, m is also 10. So other than that, what I'm gonna do now, so I'm gonna say scanner demo sd or ref assign new of scanner demo. So ref is a reference variable. So when I say CISO, ref is plus ref. So what it's gonna display me? It's gonna display me some address. So now I'm going to demonstrate call pass reference. With the help of sdref, I'm gonna call this guy known as pass reference, and I will pass this guy ref over here. So ref contains some address. So this address will be copied to sdref1. So it means when I will run the code, I will see that whatsoever was there in the ref, it is there in sdref also. M and N are two different containers which contains same value. So M is created in the method, N is created over here. So let us see what is happening over here. ref and sdref1 are two different containers which contains same address. So the only thing is that these guys m and n, they are the values, whereas ref and this guy sdref1, that is something known as a reference variable. So in a similar way, if you come down and you write an array, if you say int arr assign new int of some value, let us say 5, and you say CISO of arr, and thereafter you say sdref dot pass reference again, and you pass this guy arr. So arr is a reference variable. So when you pass this guy to arr1, what is this over here? This is call pass reference again. So over here, what is going to happen? So arr and arr1 are two different containers which contains the same address, right? So when you run the code, you find for all three people the fundamental is same, that they are containing the same thing, but since these guys carry out the addresses, so we say that they are going to come up with the references. So pass by reference or call by reference comes into action. When the method will be executed, it's gonna load it into the memory, and when the execution is finished, it's gonna be destroyed from the memory. sdref is plus the sdref. sdref is some different variable which is pointing to some different object now. So this guy new will create an object in the memory. sdref will point to some different object, whereas this guy ref will point to some different object. So let us now come up and understand. So sometimes you can pass the value to a method which is a primitive value. So primitive means which are non-reference people now. So you can also pass the reference to an object. So a function can take the reference to an object. You can see. So when you come up and you say passing object as test, so this test is a reference variable. So C1 will be copied to test. So reference variables coming into the action. What is meant by the term polymorphism? There is something known as polymorphism when we talk of methods or functions. So this polymorphism is divided into two times, one which happens at compile time, other which happens at runtime. So compile time polymorphism is known as static polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism is also known as dynamic polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism happens when you understand the term inheritance. So we're going to come up and discuss what is compile time polymorphism, which is linked with a word known as overloading, not a keyword, a word. Let us understand what is meant by function overloading. So function overloading is one concept which will define the term polymorphism. Polymorphism is existing in more than one forms. So if you see this guy divide now, so divide as in operator on the calculator or plus as in operator on the calculator, basically they can perform multiple operations now. For example, divide can divide two integers. It can also divide two decimals. Similarly, add can not only add two numbers, it can add three numbers, it can add four numbers, five numbers. It can also add two decimals, three decimals, four decimals, or five decimals. So we can say this guy plus and this guy divide, so they can perform multiple operations. So they exist in more than one forms. So function overloading is also similar to this example. So we're gonna use the same function to perform different tasks now. So the way you got this plus operator coming into the action. Let us see how we can come up with this function overloading now. So I'm gonna take one more new class over here. So I'm gonna say a new class. I'm gonna say method overloading with the main method. So here we got the new class method overloading. So this time I am going to come up and I'm going to create a different class known as area. I'm gonna say void calculate. So this is like the calculate which take one input, I'll say that this is the side. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say int a assign side multiplied by side, and then I will say CISO area of square is plus this guy a. So it means that I can come in my main method, I can create the reference to the area by creating a new object of it, and then I can invoke this guy known as calculate by passing the side. So when I run the code, I'll get the output as area of square is 25. Area of square, you can say with side plus this guy's side is 25. So here it is a more relevant answer. So now what I want to calculate the area of rectangle also. So this is the area of square now. So what I can do, I can come down and I can say calculate R, where I can pass width and length. So area of rectangle with dimensions L, then you can say a comma and a W is. This is how you can come down L and W over here. Run the code now by calling this guy method aref dot calculate the R with 30 comma 20. So you find that you get the area of a rectangle. But point is, you need not to change the method name. You need not to say calculate R. You can use the same method name. So what we are doing, same method name but different inputs. This is the key to overload a method. What is meant by method overloading? Method overloading means use the same method name, but please make sure that your inputs are different. It means I can come down and I can write this method, but if I say the input goes like my side rather than the side, I am saying it's like my side. So this is not overloading. You cannot come down, and so you can't write the same method with same input, because we say the input is one integer. We don't say the input is my side. We say the input is one integer. At the same time, if you think of coming down and you say int of calculate, and then you come down and you say return of a. So you cannot write the same method, right, with one integer with same input having a different return type. So very important. So you cannot write the same method with the same input having a different return type. So this is also not allowed. So what is meant by this term overloading now? So overloading comes with a simple definition, same method name, different and unique signature without considering return type. So guys, this is what you got as in the term overloading. So overloading over here has some definition to come up and to make your methods work with the same name. So it's very much easy for the user to just remember the simple method calculate. You need to know only the name calculate, and you need not to worry about memorizing the names for different methods. So you know only one method calculate will help me to calculate the area of square, will also help me to calculate the area of a rectangle or a triangle or any other geometrical shape. So you keep on passing the different inputs. So now let us see what are the rules to come up with the overloading. So rule number 1 says number of inputs. You can overload on the basis of number of inputs. Then you can say type of inputs. Then number 3, you can come down and you can say sequence of inputs. So these are 3 rules through which you can overload a method in Java. Let us understand how we can do that. The very first thing, I'm going to write a function fun. So this guy takes no input. So number of inputs. So I'm going to work on the first rule, that's like number of inputs. So fun takes no input, it's a zero input. So the count of number of input is 0. So here I'm gonna come up with one more fun. So I'm gonna say int of I. So then I'm gonna write one more fun which says the input goes like int I and int j. So you can see now the function name is same, but the inputs they keep on increasing or decreasing. So you can take it in any direction. So number of inputs are different. Type is same, number of input is different. So you can also come down and you can try to write the function where the types can be different. So you can say a fun where the type is some float. So you can now see the types are different for this method. So the same method you can come up with some more different type where you can say char of I and char of j. Number of inputs versus what is meant by type of inputs. So the functions can be same name due to the different input type they can be overloaded. So the last one is sequence of inputs. So what is meant by the sequence now? So let us say I got this guy function fun where I'm gonna come up with int I and float j. So the similar function can be used for float I and int j. So we have just changed the sequence of the inputs now. If you can see now over here the sequence of inputs is altered and we can now come up with the same method name but with different signatures. So type of inputs and sequence of inputs coming into the action. It means just below over here if I need to call the function fun, every time the function fun will be called, so it's gonna take some different and unique inputs over here. For example 1.1f comma 2.2f. You can see the call to the function fun, it is coming up as unique now. So this is how you can come up and you can overload the methods. Function overloading where add can add 2 integers, add can also add 3 integers. You need not to come up with the different method names now. If you need to come up with the similar task, you just overload the methods and you can use the same name rather than coming up with the different names. So if you have int square int x and double square double x, the method name is same, inputs over here they are different, so you can overload it. But in case you feel like making the inputs same and return type different, you cannot overload a method. So the next topic is to come up and understand what is meant by something known as string as a data type. So meet Mr. Letter and Miss Sentence. So this guy is a letter and this is the sentence. So letter means character type. So we are trying to come up and say we got this guy char ch which can contain a single letter or a character. So you cannot say that we can come up with this is a sentence. So this is not allowed. This is an error. So this is what we are trying to understand. I have a space given by Java which is char data type. So can I be adjusted in the char data type? So sentences they cannot be adjusted in the char data type. So it is simply not designed for the sentences. What we can do? We can come up with the data type known as string in Java, which will help us to create the multiple characters to be adjusted in the same type. What is a string? String is an array of characters. So this guy string is a predefined class in Java now. So if you can see, char starts from lowercase, int starts from lowercase, but this starts with the uppercase. So string is one reference type in Java. It's uppercase, it's a class in Java which will help us to store the multiple characters. How we can create the string and how we can store the data. So I'm now gonna come down and I'm gonna make a new class. So let's name it like string demo with the main method. So string is, so let us say we got a char. char can store a single character like A. So if you do a CISO on CH, so it's gonna display you the character. Characters can also be Unicodes. For example, you can say a \U20B9. This is a hexadecimal code which is supported by the character now. So these hexadecimal codes for the Unicode characters can be obtained over the Google as a Unicode chart. So for example, \U20B9 displays me the symbol rupee over here. Now what is a string? So string can help us to come up with the multiple characters. For example, this is a great day. But when we write such a string over here, like this is a great day, so this is known as multiple characters coming up all together. So you cannot say this is a great day for this guy character ch. This is not allowed, right? It's an error if you can see. So strings can be used in two ways. The first way is known as interned way, and the second thing is known as non-interned way. So in a non-interned fashion, what we do, we create the object for the string now. We say string str assign new string. So when you are going to compare these two different styles, style first is known as the interned way. Style number 2 is known as your non-interned way. So here what is happening? Object of string is created in the memory. Let us see the difference between these two declarations now. So let us understand how the string str1 is different from string str2. So both the strings are different in terms of their memory storage now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna come up with one illustration. So let us see this part, how the strings are stored in the memory now. We got stack over here. This is your heap, and I'm gonna introduce one more memory, which is a permanent memory. So you can call it like a data segment or permgen. So permanent generated values will reside in data segment. So this is known as stack and this is known as heap. So these are the memories available to us. So we created two strings str1 and str2. So this is your str1 and here we are with the str2. So what happened? So there is a container which is created in the data segment which contains a string. This is a great day. So this string over here is created, let us say, at some address 4001. So str1 contains 4001. Interned strings are what? Which are created in the permanent generation. Overall, this is the RAM now. So RAM will contain one memory in which if you create something, it will not be destroyed. So this is the entire structure of RAM now. So interned strings, they point to the string literals which are created permanently in the data segment part. For my str2, what happened? An object was created in the heap now. So this is a container, this is also a container. So this container contains, this is a great day, and this guy is, let us say, created at 6001. So this guy contains 6001. So here we are pointing to this guy. So str2 is what? str2 is non-interned, whereas str1 is interned. So when you are writing the instruction string str1 assign this is a great day, string str2 assign new string this is a great day. So we are writing two different ways. So now next is I'm gonna write string str3 assign this is a great day. At the same time, I'm also going to write string str4 assign new string this is a great day. It means we created one more intern string and one more non-intern string. So what happened in the memory? Let's see now. I got this guy str3 and str4. str3 contains 4001, whereas in the heap one more new object will be created which will contain this is a great day, and let us say this guy is created at 8001. So str4 contains 8001. Now the beauty which we need to understand is that if you come up with the intern string, the same intern string, so it is not created newly in the data segment. Whereas for this guy str4, we got this guy newly created in the memory. You can see the structure in the memory, so how the strings are created now. So if you are writing an intern string, and if this literal string literal is reused, so it means str1 and str3, they will hold the same address, but str2 and str4, they will hold the different addresses. So this is what we have done. We got str1, str2, str3 and str4, if you can see now. So it means in case if I come down and if I compare str1 with str2, I'm gonna say CISO of str1 equal to str2, and at the same time if I compare str3 and str4, so I'm gonna get this if else part constructed, so not equal to. And lastly, if I come down and if I compare str1 with str3, what will be the output now? What str1 and str2 contains, so they are not equal. What str1 and str3 contains, that is equal. So that's how you're gonna come up with the output. So when you run the code, you find the output str1 not equal, str3 not equal, only str1 is equal to str3. So you can compare intern strings with equal to operator, but you cannot compare non-intern strings. So the reason is very simple, because equal to gonna come up and compare the addresses, not the string literals. You can just say if str1 dot equals str2. So this equals will compare the content within the string. It's not gonna compare the address. So compares the content within the string. So very important. So when I say CISO str1 dot equals str2, so you can find now when I'm gonna run this code, it will come up as str1 equals str2. Strings, they store addresses, they don't store the literals, but there is a magic now. So the magic is, if you come down, if you try to say str1 plus str1, it will not show you the address, it will show you the value. str1 is a reference variable which holds the address, not the value. Other than that, magic is if you display str1, you get value, not address. So this magic we will understand in our upcoming sessions, which is known as the toString method of an object class. So this is the magical part. So why this happens, why we don't get the address, this is because of the toString method in the object class. So this is something which will come up in future. Now we'll discuss this part. String is a class in Java which is used to store string literals. So we can use it at many places now. To read so much textual data, we have only one useful guy known as string. Name, address, even the phone numbers with the plus code dialing, let's say +91. So you need to come up with the string somehow. Strings are used almost everywhere. The name, address, city name, phone numbers, etc., etc. So you can use strings to store the data which is in the textual form. So we got various methods available on string now. So let us see some of them. We got length, caret, concat, equals, ignore case, index of, last index of. Then we got replace to lowercase to uppercase string. We got so many functions in the string. So let us try to come up and explore these various methods on strings now. So let us say I got one string which is like str. So the way we got equals, which compares the data in the string rather than equal to comparing the addresses. So compare intern strings with equal to, but you cannot compare non-intern strings. So you cannot compare. You need to compare the content. So that's why you can either use equals or equals ignore case. So equals ignore case will ignore the case sensitivity issue. So that's only one different part. So now let's come down and let us write one str5, which is like, let us say John, Jack, Jim, and Joe. Now that's like str5. What I want my string 5 to be converted to uppercase. So thereafter I said str5 dot to uppercase, and then I am going to say str5 is plus str5. Now the very first thing which I can understand is that I am converting the string to uppercase. But when I run my code over here, I find that str5 is not converted to uppercase. Similarly, if I try to say str5 dot to lowercase, when I run the code back, you find that it is not converting the whole string to lowercase. Similarly, if I try to come back and if I try to say str5 dot concat, for example, I'll say Jeff and Jonathan. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna concatenate these two more words into str5, but when I run the code, I see they are not getting concatenated. Whatever the operation we are trying to perform on the string, it is not actually coming up with the result, so that we can see from the output. Now the answer to this situation is that strings are immutable, so you cannot change the string. So that is really important to understand, that strings are immutable, you cannot change the string. So what does it mean now? Whenever we perform any operation on string, we get a new string in the memory. So this is how you come up with the concept. So whenever you create or whenever you perform any operation on string, you will get a new string in the memory. It means over here now you say some string str6 assign str5 dot to uppercase, and then you come back and you say string str7 assign str5 dot to uppercase. Similarly, you say string str8 assign str5 dot concat, and thereafter you can come down and you can see str6, 7 and 8. So now let us run the code and see what's gonna happen. So you can see that str6 is in entire uppercase, str7 is in entire lowercase, and str8 is a concatenated string. So let's say this guy comma and this like this. So now when you run the code, you see this beautiful concept. So guys, strings are immutable. You cannot change the string which is created. Any operation on string means that you will get a new string in the memory. So these are some few operations which we have done, but we'll come up with more operations. So strings are immutable. Interned and non-interned strings both are immutable. I'm gonna say one more string str9, which is a new string. So where you are coming up string in the memory heap, an object will be created in the heap memory. So you cannot change me. You say str9 dot concat, this is more data, and thereafter what I'm gonna do CISO on str9. So you will see that str9 comes out to be you cannot change me. Either the string is interned or non-interned, both of the strings are immutable. We will be now discussing some more methods on the strings. So let us come down and see that part. So I'm gonna say CISO str8 length is plus str8 dot length. So length function will give us the length of the string. You can anytime come down and you can say int index assign str5 dot index of, let's say, the guy J. So J is one character in this guy's string, and we can see over here in str5 J is at 0th index. So index of will directly return with the value 0. And when I say rather than the index of, I say str5 dot last index of. When I say last index of J, so it's gonna return me the number 17. So this guy J is on 17. Other than that, if you want, you can also come back and you can say str5 dot index of some substring, right? For example, index of hn. So what is the index of hn? So this is like hn. So 0, 1 and 2. So hn starts from 2. So when you run the code, you see the value coming up as 2. Likewise, we got index of. What you can do, you can come down and you can say string str10 assign str9 dot replace the old character with the new character now. So let us say the old character is C and the new character is D. But you are replacing the string characters and you will be getting a new string. You can't do it in str9 now. So that is not possible. So you say CISO of str10 is plus str10. And when you run the code, you now see that the character C has been changed to D. We get replace all, then replace some string with some other string. For example, you can say replace of your word change, for example, the word hate, and you can say string str11. So similarly, you say CISO of str11. There are various methods which you can operate on your strings now. Just for instance, you can always come back and you can say str9 dot, or let us say str5 dot contains the word Jack. So is it so? So you say CISO Jack is in the list. So you can check for the string containment if a string is there in some other string. So the way we got contains method to check for your string, right? So you can also come down and you can check just a part of it that can come up. And in the same way, we got starts with. So either your string starts with John, you say John is in the list. So similarly, you can also come down and you can check with ends with. So this ends with method can be used to check whether a string ends in .mp3 or whether a string ends in .mp4 or any other thing. Moving ahead now, I got the method known as substring. So let us say string str12 assign str. Let us say we got this 9 dot substring. You begin from the index 0 and you end in the index, let us say 4. So I'm gonna do a CISO on str12. Let's try to say 3. I'm gonna say str12 is plus str12. You run the code and you get the output as U. So start from 0, then go to 1, then go to 2. So less than 3. So here 0 inclusive and less than 3. So that's what you're gonna get the output when you do a substring. Substring is a very important method right over here. So lastly, what I got is coming back to str5. I'm just gonna say split this string on the basis of comma. So if you can see over here, so this is your str5. What I'm gonna do on str5, I'm gonna split my str5 on the basis of comma, and I will get an array of strings. So thereafter, I'll just run my enhanced for loop and I'll do a CISO on S. So splitting a string on the basis of comma will give me John, Jack, Jim and Joe. Let's run the code and see. It's giving me John, Jack, Jim and Joe. So the basis of comma on the basis of a pattern, it is splitting our string now. So at the same time, in the output, I can see this space is included. So if you want to eliminate the spaces in the front or in the back, you can use trim. So remove white space from leading and trailing part. So you run the code and you see the output now. So there is no space within your strings. Now there are various other methods also available. So I hope you will be in a situation to come up with what exactly is a string and what and all various methods we can use on the strings. So you don't have such concept available answer. So what you can do, I can also come down and I can say one char array char assign str of, let us say this guy 9.2 char array. So you can convert your string to a character array. Right answer. So what you can do thereafter, you can come down and you can loop across and you can find the character somehow. Now let us come down and try to understand what is meant by this guy's string buffer. So the way we got string, in a similar way we got a guy known as string buffer, and we also got a guy known as string builder. We got these two more concepts available along with the strings. Let us see that. We got string buffer and we got one more guy known as string builder. If you can see, we got string buffer and string builder. So the way you can create a string, for example, I'm gonna come up with string str assign new string. Let's say I created the string as this is a string, and then I say this guy as this is a buffer, as in string buffer, and you say this is a string builder. Now what I'm doing over here, I'm just creating these three strings. Now they are all into the same pattern. So I'm gonna do a CISO on them. So I'll say str and I'll print the str. Then I'll come up with something known as buffer and I will print the buffer. Then you come up with the builder part and you print out the builder. So when you run the code now, so you see that all the guys, they are coming up with the output the way we got string, if you can see now. So what is the difference between string, buffer and builder? So string is immutable, whereas buffer and builder, they are the mutable versions of the strings now. So if you want to come up with the mutability, you always prefer buffer and builder. So what is the difference between buffer and builder now? So buffer is thread safe, whereas this guy is not thread safe. What is thread safety? We will come up in future. So as of now, you can just mark a note on it. So these are mutable now. So what is meant by that? You can come down and you can say str.concat. This is concatenated. So we know that if you write this thing, so the data is not concatenated. But let us say about the buffer and the builder. Buffer and builder will not use the method name as concat. They will use the method name as append. So buffer and builder, they are exactly same. The only difference is thread safety. Now you can come down and you can display of str now plus str. Then we can display of our buffer now and builder now. What I am doing over here, I am adding the data into the string buffer and string builder, and we are going to test whether they are mutable or not. If you can see now, str now is giving you the same output, whereas buffer now and builder now, they are giving you the data which is appended. It means strings are not mutable, whereas buffers and builders, they can be muted out. So we got similar methods in strings and buffers and builders. The method names might be changed, but the fundamental remains same. For example, you can just come down and you can say builder dot the length of the builder. You can come up and you can say builder dot last index of, or you can say builder dot index of. So similar methods are there. So rather than saying replace, you got the method known as insert. So what we got as in string buffer, it's a Java class which stores the data, but this guy is mutable now. So we don't get a new memory created, we get the manipulation in the same old memory. String was just a read-only guy. It was immutable guy, but this guy is read plus write operation both. So if you perform any operation on buffers or builders, they will not give you a new string, but their same string will be updated. So when use string and string buffer, in case you want to manipulate the data, strings are not recommended, because manipulation of data over the strings means that you will be generating a new string in the memory. So always try to come up with the buffers or the builders, because they are the mutable versions now. And similarly, we got string builder. So this is the same as string buffer, except string builder is not thread safe. So it is not synchronized. So we'll understand the meaning of thread safety in future. So the data is not safe when multiple threads they're gonna run at the same time. So builders, they come up with some capacity of 16 characters as a default capacity. So even though they are able to store the data, but they come up with some capacity now. So they are not like some unlimited capacity. So you can anytime enhance their capacity, and the capacity is automatically also increased in case you are coming up with that string part. So again, to create string builders, we got various methods now. So you can pass the capacity, you can pass the string, you can pass nothing. So you can pass a char sequence. So what is a char sequence? Again, I'll teach in the future, not now, because it's an interface. So we need to understand inheritance first, then abstract first, and then you need to come up with the interfaces. So some of the methods which you can use over here. Thank you very much.